All right, here we go. The mighty return of Bill Haney back on Vlad TV.
Hey, Vlad, always a pleasure. Thank you for having me once again.
Of course, man, my Bay Area brother.
Absolutely, absolutely.
Well, there's a lot going on right now, but by the time that this comes out, Jake Paul versus Mike Tyson is going to happen.
I said it before. I mean, it's some big business going on Jake Paul's part, for sure, for him to land that kind of fight, to come from not even a boxing background to potentially having the name Mike Tyson on your resume. No matter how old he is, Mike's a tough dude. I mean, you have to watch what you say to Mike, for sure. He's in for a fight, though.
Well, Mike Tyson is 58 years old.
Mm-hmm.
Jake Paul's 28 years old.
Right.
There's a 30-year age difference. And Jake Paul's not a weak guy.
No.
You know, I remember George Foreman. He even talked about one of Jake's punches. He said, yeah, I would have gone to sleep with an overhand right like that.
Jake is a heck of an athlete. He's a heck of an entertainer. I've always said that, he might even be the face of the sport of boxing with the moves that he's making, because it's all about making, taking the boxing further and bringing new fans and new eyeballs and those kind of things. So the moves that Jake is making right now to get Mike Tyson in the ring, even at 58, is impressive.
Okay. Now, I like the sport of boxing, but I'm not intimately involved the way you are.
Okay.
From your professional opinion, if you had to put money on this match, who would you put your money on?
It's of course, you have a young and hungry, talented Jake Paul, but you have Mike. Mike is Mike. You know what I mean? And until Mike loses to an opponent like Jake Paul, I got to go with Mike. And no offense to Jake, I like Jake, but I got to go with Iron Mike on this one.
Well, but Mike did have a series of losses. Remember when he retired?
Right.
A while back?
Right.
He basically says, listen, I can't keep doing this. I respect the sport too much. I'm not going to get in this ring and take people's money and have this type of performance. And, his last fight with Roy Jones Jr. Was a bit underwhelming. Wouldn't you say?
Well, but that's Roy. That's Roy.
People say that, Mike went easy on him. Mike probably could have knocked him out, but it wasn't the Mike Tyson that we remember.
Let me tell you, Roy and fighters that really know how to fight, they know how to not get hurt. You know what I mean? They know how to do enough to not get hurt. And maybe that fight, Roy didn't do enough, or Mike didn't do as much as he would normally do. But those guys are both dangerous to an athlete that's not a fighter. I don't think Jake has been in a ring with someone as ferocious, someone as dominant as Mike. You know what I mean? That can actually hurt you. So it'll be a good test. I think if Jake gets past this, then he could probably pick somebody in boxing that's a little bit tougher.
Well, this is 14-ounce gloves, 2-minute rounds, 8 rounds total. It's essentially an exhibition match. This is not a real boxing match.
Yes.
Just from the gloves alone, but then the shortened rounds and the quick rounds and so forth. Why do you think they've gone to this extent and not actually put him in the ring with 10-ounce gloves and 12 rounds and so forth?
I think for Jake. I think the upside for Jake to be able to do a lot of things, both in business and everything that he's doing with him and his brother. You have to kind of approach this with a little bit of caution. You've interviewed Mike before.
Yeah.
What do you think, Mike, if you're just punching and throwing at Mike, do you trust that he's going to go easy on you? Or, it's one of those things that I would prepare as much as I can for this fight if I was Jake.
Yeah, look, Mike Tyson got mad at me during the course of the interview, and I got legitimately scared.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's having Mike mad at you is a moment. But I remember me and Holyfield, we talked about this in our interview, and Holyfield basically said how that's how Mike wins. He intimidates you. He scares you. He's the boogeyman. He's the baddest man on the planet. But if you go into the fight not scared of him, the way Holyfield was not scared of him, you suddenly have a different Mike Tyson on your hands.
Well, you're talking about the real deal Holyfield.
Real deal Holyfield.
And at that level, an Olympian, Evander is, Hall of Famer, of course he can say that about Mike. He can say that he's not intimidated. He was one of the best at heavyweight. But now you talk about someone like a Jake Paul, who's daring himself to be great and putting a Mike Tyson on his resume.
So you think Jake's going to be scared?
I think that as the fight gets closer, he'll start understanding more so that it's going to be as easy as he thinks it is to go in and beat Mike Tyson up, the great Mike Tyson up in front of everybody, the world, his kids and everybody. And Mike doesn't need any money.
Right.
Mike doesn't need any money.
He's already wealthy.
Yeah, he's already set.
But I'm sure there's a nice check, though.
It is a nice check. But, I'm sure it is a nice check. But, but for him, for me, going into it and saying that Mike is going to be relaxed, Mike is going to, go easy. When has Mike went according to script or according to plan? When has he ever?
Well, I think the Roy Jones fight was pretty much according to plan. Nothing really unexpected happened in that fight. In a way. But I also say is that you have a Roy Jones who has no necessary urgency to prove anything. Then you have Iron Mike. In the ring, he has nothing to prove. But now you have Jake Paul, who's getting in there, too, with something to prove. Yeah.
So this thing, if it was scripted, it's a chance that it can go off script. So that's why I'm going to be watching. I'm going to watch and see, does Mike stay the course? If what we're saying is going to happen is that, Mike is going to somehow let Jake upstage him in front of everybody.
Well, we'll see what happens, man. I think everyone's going to be tuning in.
Yes, I will be.